They just started there. So they needed that bus. Now, because the station has been in transmission for a while, so they probably don't need as much bus. They still need some bus, but not as much as back then when they were just new, fresh meat in the industry, so to speak. Yeah, and the pictures. Oh my God!
You get?
I was like, wait, what? So I got like the full idea of what you were talking about. So I was like, man, this was the ish back then.
No, like I think.
I mean, what was I doing 6 years ago? Oh, okay, that explains itself. I was in school.
You were in school, exactly. I'm generally asking. So the story is about International World Radio Day, right? And we are trying to tell. This is the first women radio. We're trying to tell radio that is serving a niche, right?
Sure.
And this is peculiar. It is for women. We don't have that in Nigeria, and vastly in most parts of the world. So this is the story. So we want to get your perspective as a presenter here, as a host here. Generally how your program has been impactful, because you're the one who hosts the show that some people listen to. And so how has it impacted people's lives? How is it like hosting a show from a woman's perspective, right? And being on a radio station that is just strictly for women and their families, right? So things like that.
Okay.
So that's how my questions will be sent. But I can't give you my questions, but as we progress,
Sure,
I'll ask that you can answer. But if you need time to think, just let me know. I could stop, you think, then you answer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good to go.
All right.
So tell me your name and what you do for a living.
My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama, and I am a radio presenter / on-air personality, because some people call it either. And I work at Women Radio WFM 91.7.
Okay, so give me a background of a bit of background on the shows you host and what kind of shows they are.
Okay, so I host the Evening Experience largely, as well as Adult Conversations. The Evening Experience runs through 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Adult Conversation starts at 9:15 to 11. Between the hours of 4 and 5, there's the program called The Big Tunes. So we just, people call in, sing along to some of their favorite songs by their favorite artists. And between 6 and 7, I just discuss entertainment stories, news stories, whatever it is that is catchy and trending, because it's drive time. People don't want to be bored by all the heavy issues. And we have a lot of that in Nigeria. And I don't want to bore them. I just want them to have a good time. And so I just discuss some of all these other light-hearted issues, and then we make fun, and then people call in sometimes, but mostly it's music. I like to say good music, good talk, and good vibes. So that's what we do on the Evening Experience. And then for Adult Conversations, that takes a little bit of a more serious tone, but it's more of a conversational, serious tone. And this is because we're not discussing politics or anything. We're discussing people, real people, and real issues. A large amount of those real people and real issues, or a large amount of those real issues, are sent in by mostly women. And it centers mostly around gender dynamics between women and men in family, at workplaces, marriages, even relationships that are not even up to marriages. And women are in positions where they either don't like or want to change, or just need advice on what to do next. So we've received tons of stories. So Adult Conversation basically has the listener call in to give advice to these people. We take stories from men as well, because we're a radio station for women and their families. So we can't focus on just the woman. Yes, that's what we spotlight, but the woman is incomplete without all these other people that she births, that she nurtures, that make her world whole. So when we put all these factors together, the listener calls in, they give advice, and to a large extent, those pieces of advice are sectored, so to speak, or segmented, if you please. And I say that because we have the whole generational gap thing that has existed since time immemorial. And it's still existing because we have older people call in, middle-aged people, we have younger folk like myself call in, and you can tell that the reasoning of these people within, I mean, in between all these generations are vast. The differences in their reasoning are vast. And my job is to moderate the conversation, highlight the things that need highlighting, and draw more attention to the subject and the story and the person whose story is being profiled. I always say adult conversations is a safe space. You can talk about your issues, and we do not judge. We do not judge. So now that part is relatively hard for people because Africans, Nigerians specifically, once a story drops, everybody's like, whoa, 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 did she just do that? How would she think like that? What is the next best thing to do? Oh, we can't have her husband talk to her like that. Or you get other people saying, oh, her husband has a right to do this, has a right to do that. And in such cases, because we live in a world where some of those traditional mindsets or reasonings do not exactly play out in a way that favors the woman, I now need to balance those points of view by drawing more attention to the things that matter in today's society and how they benefit the woman overall.
Okay, so a bit of people see your team as a team of feminists. Would you say that is that kind of backlash or those kind of comments hamper your job or make it look or make your job seem a bit inconsequential, if you get what I mean?
Team of feminists.
Yeah.
See, that's an interesting expression.
Have you ever received such a?
I mean, since I started working here, and I tell people, I work at Women Radio, and they're like, you see that brow goes up, and they're like, you do what now? That's an actual radio station, and I'm like, yeah. So because the name speaks for itself, it either makes you interested as to, okay, what do these people do, or gets you to back off a bit and take 2 steps and go, okay, why is there a women radio? And then that's my opening to tell them what we do here. So I wouldn't necessarily say that we're a team of feminists because the word feminism in Nigeria, because we're here, is coated with all this black lighting. And that's because of social media, people online like to call it online feminists. And that's because, to a large extent, people don't really understand what feminism is about. It's not really about who cooks, who doesn't, who opens doors, and all of that. It's about social equality. And I mean, I'm here talking about I'm equal to you as a man. I'm not saying it. Somebody was here on our show the other day, and she said it's not about sameness. It's about equality, equal rights and opportunities. In fact, those are the things that are most important in the whole cause of feminism: equal rights and opportunities. Regardless of whether I'm a man or whether I'm a woman, I should still be able to stand in the same room with men and speak on the same subject as long as I'm capable and I can get it done, rather than sideline me just because I'm a woman. So equal rights, opportunities, that's what feminism basically means. But a lot of people have put all these unnecessary feathers around it and ruffled it and made it look all fancy and, not so fancy at the same time. Yeah. And so the meaning just becomes, flawed with every day that passes. And that's not the real reality. So what we do here is we amplify the voices of women in whatever capacity that needs amplifying. So a lot of times, gender-based violence is one of them. We talk about all the social gender dynamics as well, within the workplaces, within social circles, within even culture and religion also play a large role in where we are as women in today's society on a number of shows that we do here. And I also host some shows on the afternoon as well, such as the Woman Agenda, Women Voices for Peace. And then you can hear people talk about the fact that the role of the woman when it comes to peace building, conflict resolution, when it comes to amplifying and making sure that the voice of the woman is heard and not sidelined in every conversation, should be put forward out there so that more people can understand that it's a real cause and it's important. Some people would say that maybe it's not as important as the voice of the men, but because patriarchy has lasted for so long, it's taken some time. So that's why we're here to repeat that message over and over and over again. So the more you hear it, the more you intensify it. The more we intensify it, the more you internalize it, and then you get the point. Slowly over time, minds change, mindsets shift, and that's where the paradigm shift begins.
Okay. And for the conversations you guys have, would you say it
For
has
this, for
impacted
this question, hey, I like this. I like this.
Okay.
for the conversations you guys have for this oh, we just
Oh, sorry, my bad.
for the conversations you guys have, would you say that it has impacted your audience, which is women? I'm sure you guys are targeting women as your audience. Would you say it has impacted your audience? Can you say through the feedback you get? I'm sure you guys do appraisals on feedback. Would you say it has impacted your audience in a large way?
We have been able to get the results that we need, and that's because we have largely targeted women as our audience. And the reason I say this is because we've had feedback as regards how far programs have gone. We have programs that have gone all the way to the north and sensitizing people on female genital mutilation and all those things that people should know but do not generally speak about. We have Igbo programs as well that target all these other things that have to do with culture. And then we get all this engagement, and people get to know some of the things that concern women that do not, again, come up in conversation as much. And as regards feedback, Adult Conversations is one of those programs where we get consistent feedback, and that's we get it live from the responses that we get when people call in, as well as even off the air. So you give advice, and we always say that as much as the listener gives advice, it's up to you to take the advice or not. And we've gotten feedback that has resulted in, okay, this is what we did. We got more of these particular points of view, and we took this and it actually worked. So again, that doesn't happen all the time because everybody still has a huge right to do what it is that they desire to do. But the point that we are consistently harpooning on is the fact that we have these conversations, we put it out there, these conversations are had that typically would not be had, and then we get all this feedback from people because we are just speaking out and just making that voice, that female voice that will not otherwise be heard, be heard.
Yeah. As a woman, generally, what kind of responses do you get that trigger you sometimes? I want you to give me examples of some of the stories you've heard that has a bit of shaking you when you when you're on the radio and be like, this is a lot, for someone to be handling as a woman. And how do you manage your emotions when it comes to such stories?
Okay, so I'm gonna take that question. Okay, I'm not supposed to say that, right? Okay, as a woman on air, it's not very easy, and that's because of the variety of shows that I do, variety of programs that I handle, and some of them are, basic and straight to the point because they're just talking about all these issues that need highlighted, and we have experts, we have guests who speak on these issues, so they do more of the talking. I'm just moderating the conversation and just doing what I do as the anchor, but they do more of the information sharing and all of that. Now, for programs like Adult Conversations, where I get to do some talking, not all the talking, but some talking, you get situations where men are calling and they're telling you, you're not married, so you don't have your right to say what you're saying. You don't have a child, so you can't say what you're saying. You're too young. Sometimes you sound young, so it doesn't sound like you have as much experience. And then some people want to take the daddy card and go, oh, when I'm talking, please just listen. And that's when I happen to just go into that mode of, well, it's called Adult Conversations for a reason. Conversation. You speak, I listen, I speak, you listen. And that's the way it works. If there's no back and forth, there's no conversation. So I make sure that everybody gets their voice heard, but at the same time, put lines where lines need to be. Now, some of the stories We had a story recently about this lady who talked about the fact that her boyfriend left the country. Her boyfriend of 10 years left the country without telling her nothing, just out of the blue. And she's wondering, she can't go on, she doesn't know what to do. And then people are calling in. Some people are very compassionate and empathetic in their responses. And then some people have the opinion that, how are you dating for 10 years? How aren't you married to this guy? And he's still your boyfriend for 10 years. And then you have to point out the fact that in such cases, some of these relationships started out really young. So it's not compulsory that things like that will go on within that space of time. Who knows, maybe they were talking about it and the guy just up and left. Or there was I don't know, whatever the situation is, you can't just say that she's the one who didn't put her foot down and made sure that he married her before leaving. And then there are cases where women are talking about the fact that their children are acting a certain way. There was a story we received. The guy was talking about, it was a guy actually, but his mother was more the focus of the story. So his mother is not a Christian. She is an African traditional believer. And that's the way she brought them up. That's all they knew when they were younger. Now, of course, as you grow into your own, you evolve and all of that. They became Christians. And now the guy has a family and he is having issues bringing his family to his mother, or having his mother be involved in his family, because he's thinking she's going to put all of that into them and he doesn't. And then the question was, should he cut her off or not? And then, oh my God, that particular day was crazy because people were like, you can't do that. She's your mother. If she wanted to use you for whatever it is that they do, she would have done it a long time ago. So in such cases, why would you say you want to cut her off? And some people were saying for your mental health. And that's a real thing. You can. And for the sake of your kids, if you do not want them to be exposed to such, you can do that as well. So again, as much as we get diverse points of view, it's also important to highlight the woman point of view. This person that we're talking about, yes, a guy sent in the story, but it's about his mother. His mother. Now, I'm not really particular about everything that has happened in between, but she brought you up, carried you in her womb for 9 months. In fact, that's even, by the way, you grew up into this successful man that you are, and now you want to cut her off because she's not Christian. So again, we point that out, emphasizing the fact that, everything that mothers go through and, more of the female point of view, but still taking all these other opinions and balancing the conversation.
Okay. I think this is my last question. Would you say now that people can trust the radio? Would you say it's a good time that women are able to trust the radio and make the radio a safe space to tell their stories, to speak up, for their voices to be heard?
I do think that women can trust the radio now more than ever, actually, because now we are actually bringing their stories forward. We live in a climate at the moment where probably has never existed before, and women radio just further highlights that setting that we're in and puts the female conversation to the forefront. And I think for this reason, I think women can trust the radio, because now they can have conversations they hitherto were not either allowed or did not feel free enough or safe enough to have. We have conversations around politics, around rape, around even up until the minute things that have to do with women and girls and children every day, because however you look at it, women, their families are important, young people are important, everybody's important, but none of this stands on its own if there's no woman to kind of put it together, which is why the family is as important as people say it is, because it is important. So I think that women can trust the radio. They can really feel free to make it their safe space, because conversations that they were not allowed or did not feel free enough to have are now being spotlighted, and they are now a major part of the general conversation.
Okay, I said it was my last question, but I lied. So, do you love your job?
I'm still going to tell you to do one other but don't worry. Go on. That's what we like.
So do you love your job, and why do you love your job? At the moment, do you love doing what you do, and why do you love your job?
I absolutely love my job. I have wanted to do radio for the longest time, and the reason for that is because listening to other radio presenters from, when I was younger, you realize that they have a platform to just say their opinions and get all these people to listen and actually make social change on some level. Now, they may not change the world, but when you have a station that reaches 20 something thousand people and above, you already know that you have a reach over what you say and how that affects people. So I do my best every time I come on this microphone to say the things that I feel that people need to know and the things that I feel that I need to express as well. And everything, of course, in moderation. But the most important thing is information needs to be passed across. People need to be further enlightened and educated about all these other issues, but mostly here about all these other issues that highlight the women point of view.
I'm feeling sleepy. So
I want to take part of it.
okay, so your audience reach for audio conversation, like how many people do you think listen in? I'm sure you guys have ratings.
We do, but I literally have to check it down to be able to
Just
answer
let
that
me
question.
know. Yeah. And how many people call in on a regular, like minimum?
Okay, so because we have callers,
I want me to film them.
No, continue. Do your cutting with you.
we have callers, we have engagements on Facebook, on YouTube, we take text and WhatsApp messages as well. And I have to read all of these. So sometimes I'm reading messages while I can't take calls because I'm reading messages. But if you're asking specifically about callers, we get a minimum of maybe 10, 15 callers, and some of them like to really talk.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
messages?
messages, we get a lot of messages. We have a WhatsApp platform, so we get a lot of messages. The stories are posted there on a daily basis.
So like how many messages do you have on a daily?
Okay, on a daily, maybe like 20, 25 messages. And then it goes on because until the next story is posted, more people are still commenting. So it's way beyond that number.
Yeah, okay. What? You want her to introduce herself? So she can do it now. My name is and I work in
Okay.
I'm glad you
So what
Your
do
name, what you do, and why you do it.
Okay. I have to hi everybody or my name is. I just go straight to my name.
Yeah, your name, what you do,
Okay.
and why you do it.
All right.
So one, two.
My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama, and let me take that again. Let me take it again.
You do MC too.
No, actually, you don't. But that's definitely something I want to try. That's something I want to go.
I like the way you command your English.
I appreciate that. Thank you. If you have any jobs for me, please, you know where I work. My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama. I work at radio. Oh my God! Let me just go on. Do you have to cut?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, final take.
I trust you in that.
My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama. I'm a radio presenter at Women Radio WFM 91.7. Here, we amplify the voices of women through conversation, and we make sure that women are highlighted in every bit of our programming at Women Radio.
You sure you're good with that?
I am good with that.